We're at top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our second annual Let's Talk Trash webinar. I'm Dema Headley. I'm the Director of Digital Banking with Climate First Bank, and we have Stacy Savage, founder of Zero Waste Strategies. Stacy will give us a deep dive into the U.S. waste stream to help us understand how waste reduction can lower monthly trash bills for more sustainable business and household. We encourage you to submit questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A section, and we'll be sure to get them answered. Please feel free to ask any specific questions that you have that can relate to your industry. Stacy will be able to provide answers specific to your industry as well. Let me introduce Stacy Savage, known as the Texas Trash Talker. Stacy is a lifelong Texas born and raised along the Gulf Coast near Louisiana border, where both her parents worked at the oil refineries for a collective 75 years. Wow. Her personal experience with rotten egg smell, brown hazy skies, and cancers affecting the Flintwell family members stamped her career path in environmental stewardship. Stacy has been a recycling nerd for over 20 years, starting in 2003. She was a door-to-door grassroots community organizer where she played a pivotal role in passing two key pieces of statewide legislation: free responsible recycling of toxic electronics. In 2013, Stacy founded Zero Waste Strategies as an environmental consulting firm specializing in business waste reduction to support the new circular economy. Stacy has lived in Central Texas for 24 years and calls Tahitian Village home, where she lives with her husband, John, and her fur baby Tex, the orange tabby cat rescue. Welcome, Stacy.
Hey, Dima, thank you so much. And I appreciate everyone being here for our second annual Let's Talk Trash webinar in celebration of World Environment Day, which happens every June 5th. So we're really excited to be here and to present to you guys about the business benefits of zero waste operations and also to take your questions and help you maybe deep dive your own industry a little bit and maybe some site specific questions you may have for your particular business at your locale. So I'll go ahead and give us a quick introduction to our company here. So Zero Waste Strategies was founded in 2013 by myself and my husband, John. He's not only our VP, but he's also my VIP. And we run the company together. He manages a lot of the tech issues and logistics planning for travel and going on site to see our clients. And I handle things like marketing and client acquisition and just kind of being the face of the company. So our client list here, you might recognize some of these major brands, municipalities. We even work with institutions such as Boston University and nonprofit organizations. So basically, if you have waste, we can help you reduce it. So we kind of work across the board with all different types of industries, but also vertically, very large companies and also down to the small mom and pops that have one restaurant location down the road, right? So it's with zero waste is a scalable concept and it's an office efficiency concept as well. And so we take protocols that are specifically prescribed in the zero waste hierarchy, which we'll get to here in just a moment. So just some key definitions, some terms so that we're all on the same page. Diversion is a term that we use for reduction or reuse of materials for new products or services instead of sending them to landfill. The term zero waste is a program to divert discards from landfills and incinerators by minimum 90% through materials reduction, reuse, recycling, composting, repurposing, and several other methods. Organic or compostable materials, this is not the organic aisle in your grocery store. This is anything that comes and grows from the ground, such as plants, or came from something that grows like meat. So the term composting is a verb. It is a natural process that breaks down the organic materials above into a dark soil-like material called compost. So here's the zero waste hierarchy. And as you can see, 8.0, it's been through several iterations. The definition, globally accepted definition up at the top is the conservation of all resources by means of responsible production, consumption, reuse, and recovery of all products, packaging, and materials without burning them. So no incineration and no discharges to the land, water, or air that threaten the environment or human health. So as you can see, the unacceptable red triangle at the very bottom is our waste to energy, plasma arcs, anything that is a euphemism for burning trash. We that is considered unacceptable in the zero waste hierarchy. Moving up the chain, we have residuals management. So this is more along the lines of landfilling may be the final place for some products due to poor design and just lack of recyclability. So if you think about that 90% minimum waste reduction, what happens to that other 10%? This is what I'm talking about. It's the lack of recyclability, and it's the materials that were chosen upstream in the innovation and engineering design process within the company's supply chain that you and I, as customers, we just don't have any say over that process. So sometimes landfilling, even though it's a very, we want to make that just a minimal option, sometimes it is an option, has to be. Material recovery, moving up the chain to recycling and composting. But where we really get our highest and best use of materials is through the rethink, the reduce, and the reuse piece of the hierarchy. And when we say rethink and redesign, this is a directive to your engineering, your materials selection and design teams to rethink and redesign your products in a way that will utilize the hierarchy all the way down throughout your supply chain once it gets to the customer. And then once the customer uses it, what happens to it? Do you have take back programs? Can you reuse it in some way to not only reduce your own costs within your own operation, because you're recovering those materials? Can you give your customers options to be more responsible with their own materials that come from your company? So just things to think about, whenever you go into that design process with a new product. How can your downstream customer reduce it, reuse it, recycle it, recover it before it needs to go to landfill, and you know, helping them be more responsible with their own materials. So in the zero waste hierarchy, food has its own separate hierarchy. So as you can see here, October 2023 at the bottom there, the EPA, this is the first time they've updated their chart like this in 20 years. And it used to be called the Food Waste Recovery Scale, and now it's called the Wasted Food Scale. As you can see, the emphasis is on food is being wasted, not just it magically got wasted somewhere along the line. No, there's a specific point where food was wasted. And so it's more of an accountability piece to name it like this so that people aren't just, food just got wasted somewhere. It's nope, this is the wasted food scale because somebody wasted food somewhere down the line. So it's allows people to take more responsibility and look a little bit deeper into their operations. So of course, on the far left side, preventing food waste is the highest and best way to manage wasted food. So you kind of only buy what you need, make smaller purchases multiple times per week. And this can be reflected in households too, not just businesses. Only serve what's needed, reducing your portions. I know here in Texas, we like to have Texas-sized meals and chicken fried steak that hangs off the side of the plate. But do we really need all of that? So it's really about, your portion control and being able to measure so that food is not being wasted from your kitchen, and that it's also not being wasted whenever it gets to the customer. And maybe they only ate half that chicken fried steak and they sent it to the trash instead of taking it home. So also food donations. If your company has a food permit anywhere in the country, you're legally protected by the 1996 Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act. Back in the 80s, there was a lot of fear around legal ramifications and fines and penalties if someone got sick from your food donation. That's no longer the case. If you're donating food within the proper time and temperature standards of your state's health code, and you're doing the donation in good faith, you're working with a nonprofit food redistribution organization that knows how to handle food. They're certified in food handling, and they've got a place to store it. You set up an account with them. Let's say you're a caterer and you've got a tray of lasagna that never went out to the buffet, but it's still good. It's wrapped. It's still in the cold walk-in cooler, right? That's something that could actually be donated to the nonprofit food rescue group that will redistribute it. They'll, take it, they'll freeze it, and they'll work with like a local food bank or a soup kitchen or a shelter where they can serve that food. And not only that, you get a receipt from them and you can attach that to your taxes. You get an IRS tax rebate for any donated food whenever you work with a nonprofit food redistribution organization. And you can get up to 15% of the fair market value of that food. So not only is it A, not hitting your landfill dumpster, B, it's going to feed hungry people in your community. C, you're going to get a tax rebate or a tax credit from that. D, you can use that for green marketing and differentiate yourself in your industry as a donating company that works with local organizations to support community. The next one here, feed animals. You can work with local farmers and ranchers as well. That would require obviously some transportation logistics to be hammered out, but it's another way. If food is not consumable by humans anymore and it's gone, past the point where it's safe for humans to consume, then it can go to animal feed for livestock at farms and ranches. The end point here is composting or anaerobic digestion. And then, there's another type of process for anaerobic digestion or applications to the land. And then if you're sending it down the drain or landfilling it or incinerating it, you haven't worked the hierarchy or the scale here. So there's so much more that we can do with our foods instead of just composting it or sending it to a landfill. So again, zero waste, 90%. And we want to demonstrate here how government ordinances that come into place. Again, we were just talking about before the call started, when people were joining the room, how California now has a statewide composting law that states that food waste must be diverted from the landfill, not only for residents, but for businesses as well. So government ordinances or laws, corporate commitments, you can see larger companies doing this, smaller companies are doing this, and it's just, again, like I said, an efficiency concept. School campuses, nonprofits, conferences are even going zero waste as well. So zero waste is important. Of course, you've heard of the 3 R's already. We just went over more like 7 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. Then we have things like repair and reselling and donation. We have other things like remanufacturing, refabrication. This is all about recovery of materials, keeping them out of landfill and giving them second, third, fourth, fifth lives, which is what spurs the circular economy. And that builds out more jobs, which we'll get to here in a moment. So for every pound of waste that is rolled out to the curb or ends up in a business dumpster, there's about 71 pounds of waste produced upstream to make that 1 pound. And out of the entire US waste stream, food waste makes up about 30 to 40% of the entire landfill stream. So think about how many people are hungry in our communities. I think it's about 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 right now. And then we have 40% of our food waste hitting landfills. There's a huge disconnect right there where this donation piece comes into play. And it's an absolute travesty that we are really struggling as a society to connect those dots, to get food that would normally be wasted into the bellies of people who are hungry. These communities are usually made up of children and elderly populations. So again, zero waste is important because it creates jobs. It also saves money for not only the municipalities that run landfill operations or the private haulers that run landfill operations. It saves space as well at these landfills. I don't know about y'all, but at least here in Texas, we have over 200 landfills, and basically all of them leak. That means leachate, or what we call trash juice, trickles down to the bottom. It pulls up in the bottom of the landfill, and it starts to, even though the landfills are lined, the liners are very thin. One simple puncture can allow trash juice to get down into the soil, down into the water tables. So a lot of these are around water sources as well, like creeks and streams and rivers. So we want to be more careful about what we're putting into our trash. And the more that we can save landfill space, the less holes in the ground we're going to have to dig. And so, you know, based on all of that, and being more responsible as a company or at your own home, this kind of filters into, the green marketing edge that we were talking about a little bit earlier, and how you can kind of elbow out the competition in your industry by taking all of these key points, all these green efforts that you're utilizing within your business to save money and have more efficient operations. You can put those into outward bound messaging and marketing to your customers, your employees, your shareholders, your investors. Remember, investors want to see ESG reporting. They want to see, before they invest, they want to see, what is your commitment to environmental sustainability? What do you plan to do for energy, for water, for waste, green building? They want to know that what they're investing in is not promoting more climate change. So you have to be able to take those metrics and put them into a presentable format to where they feel comfortable handing over large chunks of money to your business in order for your business to grow. So you kind of have to do the work on the front end and show the work, and you can't greenwash it, because you will be exposed, which becomes a kind of a PR nightmare. And so you want to make sure that you've got the numbers to back it up. You've got the metrics. You've got the methodologies in place that can all be confirmed, and can be presented in a way that's digestible.
Stacy, before you go to
Yes.
the next one, I wanted to just share, like, I want to ask out there, the attendees that we have, how many of you know how many landfills is in your state? Honestly, I didn't realize. I would have thought we had more here in Florida. And when I looked it up, actually I had to search it. We have 40 landfills. And I know I've seen a couple of them as you're driving down like 75, or different areas as you're traveling through. But if you guys can put in the chat, if you know, is that something that you're aware of how many landfills are in your state?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I don't think, especially if you don't live near a landfill and you don't experience the, the methane smells from all that rotting food, uh, and all the vectors that carry disease. Um, we've here in the Austin area, we've been in a fight since 2007 around a landfill expansion in Northeast Travis County, that I've been very involved in. And it's pretty poorly managed. Unfortunately, they get a lot of rodents and vectors, and the winds, the way the winds come through is just blankets the neighboring community with these awful odors. They can't even go outside. Their kids can't go play. The local elementary school is highly affected. It's really bad
Oh
scenario,
yeah.
but it's happening all across the country. Um, and a
I
lot
know.
of it is because of the food waste.
Well, I know a lot, especially in Florida. Every time I go down south and I'm taking 75, there's two of them that I see that we pass. One, someone said that they know there's one in Jacksonville as well. But for Florida, I looked it up, and based on the landfills in Florida, it's actually a wastesolutions.org. It was the website that I sourced it from.
Hmm.
It says it has 40 active landfills. So that doesn't necessarily mean there's only 40, but there's 40 that are actively being used right now. So it's interesting. I encourage you guys, if you don't know,
Hmm.
definitely look at your states and see where that's at, and you want to act on that too. Sorry for interrupting you, Stacy.
No, it's okay. This is something that we need to talk about. Whenever I've been in this landfill fight here in Austin about the expansion of a poorly run landfill, we looked at the state's environmental department, and there are permits on file for up to 300 years. So you mean to tell me 300 years from now, we're still going to be dumping our junk into a hole in the ground and covering it up with dirt and saying that's a sustainable solution? It's really mind-boggling.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
um, but again, another importance around zero waste is well-paying green jobs with dignity. So these are EPA stats here. So if you have 10,000 tons of waste, it literally takes one person to push a button on a landfill truck to let the hydraulics work, lift up the bed of the truck, and everything slides out and dumps into the working face of the landfill. And then a bulldozer comes around and moves it out of the way and covers it with dirt. Like it's kind of just, one and done.
Yeah.
But if you take that same 10,000 tons of waste and you put it through the composting system, remember 40% of our food waste is, or of our waste stream is food waste. It would create 4 jobs. Recycling sector would create 10 jobs, and putting it through the reuse sector, like your thrift stores and your salvage and repair shops and refabrication, remanufacturing, reuse would generate about 200 or 75 to 250 jobs per that same 10,000 tons of waste. So, just right there, we want to talk about economic vitality and supporting the local tax base, making sure the local tax base is solid and stable from this job creation. And the way that you do that is keeping materials local. So we don't want to ship them off to China. We don't want to ship them off to Africa or Mexico or Sri Lanka or wherever. We want to keep them hyper, hyper, hyper local in our community so that we can put our people to work on salvaging our materials and putting them back into the system, again, supporting that circular economy. So we've got a little surprise for everyone who's on. We're going to do a quick pop quiz, and this is a multiple choice. You're going to see a poll for each question pop up. It's you can select however many you think is correct, and then we will show the answer at the end to kind of compare your answers with the correct answer and see if you got it right. So moving on from here, I'm just going to ask a quick question and show you an image, and then the poll will pop up, and you'll have about 30 seconds to answer, and then we'll reveal the poll results and then the actual answer. So I just want to give you your answer key. So we want to choose from reuse, donate, recycling, organics, which is, again, your composting, or landfill trash. Keep in mind that millions of Americans don't have access to either recycling or organics. So many times trash is the only answer for them.
And you will get to choose multiple
Ah,
options if you think it's applicable.
mhm. So
You guys
moving on.
ready?
Yep, let's get
Ready to be
ready.
tested.
Get your fingers on your keyboard. Here we go. And so what do we do here, folks, with cardboard food containers? These might have like a little wax on them, a little kind of that shiny, sheeny covering on it to kind of protect the paper fibers.
And the
What are we
poll
doing?
should be on the screen for you. You can choose. So on there, you have reuse, donate, recycle, organics only, or like compost, landfill, trash, or none of the above. You can select one or multiple. So please go ahead and make those answers. We'll give it a couple more seconds, and then we'll see the results.
And whenever I reveal the answer, we're going to put it in the highest and best use. So if donation is part of the answer, well, that will be first because that's what we would want to use first in that scenario. Maybe recycling is the second option, so we'll put recycling second. So you'll see in the answer as well the hierarchy. So let's give it 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Poll results are all right. 76% recycle. Next up, 43% trash, organics now, and then reuse. So poll results go away and we'll go to the actual answer. Oops. All right, so these are the options from the poll, recycling only. So again, it's got that little bit of wax on it, gives it that sheen, and also protects the fibers with that. It's recyclable, but it's not really compostable if it has that kind of waxy liner. Again, if you don't have access to recycling, then it needs to go into the trash. So next up, we have paper hand towels at your wash stations. What are we doing with this?
And we all have this when we're out and about if we're using public restrooms, things like that. A lot of them have the hand dryers, but majority of them still have paper hand towels. So this is a great one. So as a reminder, the poll's up. You can choose one choice, multiple choices. We'll give you a couple seconds to make your answers.
All right, poll is closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Results, please. All right. 70% went with composting and 50% landfill trash, 35% with recycling. All right, poll results are going away. We'll reveal the answer here. These are your answers: organics only, and then landfill trash if you don't have access. You can't really recycle the paper towels because they have been downcycled so many times. That paper fiber is so incredibly short. It's not of value to a recycler. What's of value to a recycler when it comes to paper is more like your long fibered office paper is really valuable to your recycling operations. But paper towels are really valuable to your organics, your composting processors. So not only does it help with balancing the dry to counteract the wet, can it help absorb, but those fibers are so densely packed and they are so short that they break down in a very, very short amount of time and can help with the nitrogen to carbon mix as well. If you don't have access to organics, of course, you're going to put that in the landfill trash. Next up. Oh, the bane of my existence, the plastic chicken bag. What are we going to do with this, folks?
Do you reuse, donate, recycle, compost, landfill trash, or none of the above? This is not an answer, but I would say none of the above and ask for take your your bags from home. That's what I do. Give you guys a couple more seconds to put your answers in there and then we'll show the results.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, reuse makes the list. Recycling next up. Landfill trash next up. All right, poll results go away. We'll reveal the answer here. You got it. Good job, everybody. Reuse. You definitely want to make sure that you're reusing those multiple times. I use mine for cleaning out the cat box. You can use them for lining your bathroom trash cans if you want. There's all sorts of different ways to reuse your plastic bags. Recycling is an option only if you have either a bag the bags program. You'll need to check with your local municipality if they allow all of your shopping bags to go into a larger kind of blue bag. That's usually one thing that some communities allow so that you can put it in your recycling bin. The city gives out blue bags for you to put your single-use plastic bags in. That way, the recycling processor downstream can identify those easily, pull them, and they can get them off the line before they go and tangle up all the machinery, which shuts
Hannah,
down.
Hannah in the chat made a good comment. She said,
Yeah.
not sure if anyone else has seen them, but some people have cut up the plastic bags and tied them together to crochet more sturdy, reusable
Hmm.
bags. It's a cool idea, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Or
sharing that, Hannah.
even doormats. People are using them for homeless people who are houseless. They use them for sleeping mats as well. They'll crochet them into mats that are kind of 2, 3 layers thick, so that and it looks like a yoga mat.
That's awesome.
But they hand them out to houseless communities. But you never want to put them in your recycling bin uh, unless your city allows that through the blue bag the bag programs. Now, if you can go to your local grocery store and they've got a storefront bin where you can put all that in, then that's, one thing that you can do as well. Of course, I have them in the back of my car and I always forget that they're there and I leave the grocery store and still don't recycle my bags. So you just have to, put your reminders out there that recycle your bags whenever you get to the store or wherever you're going and they have a storefront bin. And then, of course, if you don't have access to recycling, then trash, especially if they've already been used up and they've got big holes in them, and you can't reuse them in other ways, then it goes to the landfill trash. Next up, shower containers.
This one actually has piques my interest, definitely, because you all have the bottles that we have left
Right.
over. Do you reuse them? I know I reuse mine sometimes, especially if it's a unique type bottle to do it, but donate, recycle, organics only, or landfill trash, or none of the above. We'll give you guys a couple more seconds to place your answers.
Poll closes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Results, please. Hey now. Reuse 47%, 82% recycle, and landfill trash 41%. All right, let's see what the actual answer is. Reuse is the big one. So you can rinse those out and reuse them in all sorts of manners. You can put other types of beauty products in them. You can just take them to the store if they have bulk pump stations where you can just pump your current containers full and just go to the checkout with that. Then, of course, recycling, even if it's got a little bit of the residue in there, don't worry about that. The recycling plants are designed to handle that kind of material whenever they sell those plastics downstream. Those plastic remanufacturers have a way to deal with the small, amount of residuals. But you if you want to rinse them out, give them a little tiny bit of water, and then shake it and then dump it. If you want to have your recyclables a bit cleaner. And then, of course, if you don't have any access to recycling, then it's going to go to trash. Next up. Oh, I forgot about the pro tip. So, pro tip, place a small recycling bin in your home bathrooms to collect plastic container waste and cardboard toilet paper rolls. Don't forget about paper towel rolls in your kitchen as well.
I love this idea. Actually, it's something I'm going to take away and do that. I have it in my kitchen. I have my two separate bins to distinguish, but not in the bathroom. I think this is an
Mm,
amazing idea.
mhm. So, clothing and textiles. Let's get that poll up and we'll see where our answers roll out.
All right, guys, you're going to reuse, donate, recycle, organics only, compost, landfill trash, or none of the above. We'll give you a few seconds to place your answers.
And this one might be a little surprising for some. Poll closes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Reuse, donate coming in at 94%. Reuse, excellent. Recycling and landfill trash. Poll goes away. Here's the answer. All of the above, guys. So, yes, reuse, absolutely. Tear those old shirts into shop rags, reuse them to dust your furniture, whatever. You can reuse textiles in many, many different ways. Donation, if they're still in good working condition, of course, to your local thrift store. Clothing recycling is actually a thing, and you can see if your manufacturer has a take back program. There's also some independent companies out there that will send you a little bag with a pre-stamped envelope or a mailing sticker, and you can put your recyclable textiles into that pouch and send it on back. Now, you actually can compost organic fibers, your natural fibers. So think blue jeans, cottons, linens, hemp products, anything that's natural fibers, you can actually compost that. You don't want to put uh, your latex and those kinds of synthetic products in there. And of course, once you've expired all these options, then landfill trash if you really need to. Next up, chip bags and snack and candy wrappers. Poll goes up.
All right, guys. Do you reuse, donate, recycle, compost, or landfill trash, or none of the above? We'll give you a few seconds to place your answers.
All right, poll closes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Corey posted, the chip bags and candy wrappers are depressing. I agree with you.
Well, we all have a little bit of a sweet tooth sometimes, so all righty. 80% landfill trash. Some of y'all think of recycling, so let's see. Landfill trash only. They do look plasticky. They are made of mylar, which is a type of plastic, and I don't know of really any recycling plant that will take these in the US. So to be on the safe side, trash it. When in doubt, throw it out. Next up, non-rechargeable batteries. What's our answer to this? Can you put the poll up, Jason? Thank you.
All right, guys. So do you reuse, donate, recycle, organics only, compost, landfill trash, or none of the above? We'll give you a few seconds to place your answers. And while you guys are doing that, some in the chat, Chris actually shared ideas for us local here to the Orlando area, host a bunch of clothes swap events throughout the year. So they're a big hit too for
Thanks.
donations. It's a
That's awesome.
great suggestion.
Great. Yep. All right. Poll is closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Recycle coming in at 82%. Landfill trash, none of the above. Let's see. Yes, recycling is a key factor in batteries, especially if they are lithium ion button batteries. One thing to take a look at is after this call, Google New York trash truck fire. These lithium ion batteries, these non-rechargeable batteries, they have very toxic corrosive materials in them and they can spark fires, which puts our workers at risk. So we want to make sure that we're bringing these back to locations like Batteries Plus, or maybe check your local Target or your Best Buy, Walmart to see if there's any places where you can recycle your batteries. I know here in Austin, we have the household hazardous waste facility where they will take back, if you go and drop them off, they'll take back batteries. You might have something similar in your own neck of the woods. And if you do have to put them in the trash, then they need to be in a protective container. So either put them in a Ziploc bag or put them in a structured container that's like a plastic, maybe like a to-go container that you got that you washed out from your local Chinese restaurant. I don't know. But this way they're not jostling around and they're separated from the other pieces of trash that could potentially ignite. So just to keep those separated out, make sure that you are handling those responsibly. All right. Well, thank you all for playing the game. Dima, are there any other questions before we get to some home strategies?
No questions yet in the Q&A section. If you guys please feel free to put questions in there as they come up. We'll make sure we get to those and answer it too. If we run out of time, we will be able to answer those and reach out to you directly to answer those questions as well. So take that opportunity to use the Q&A section.
All right, we're going to fly through these. So, ways to be zero waste at home. So, if you haven't heard, bokashi buckets are an excellent way to compost onto the countertop or under your sink. And it produces a highly nutritious tea that you can feed to your plants. So, something to think about is to go research bokashi buckets, especially if you live in an apartment, some kind of multifamily dwelling. Also, there's a lot of programs out there locally at schools or churches, other community, based organization sites where you can do local drop off of your organic food scraps. You want to make sure that none of your organic food scraps at a local drop off include meat, bone, or dairy. You cannot compost meat, bone, or dairy at a local drop off. If you have a compost pickup, maybe curbside or at your business, you can usually include meat, bones, dairy. So the neighborhood drop off composting piles just don't get hot enough to break down those proteins. The industrial facilities that come and pick up your food waste can. So you'll want to double check before you add those products.
I will say locally in Florida, we have O Town Compost that does that in the Orlando area. Also, for our team members that are on the call for Climate First Bank, we have a mission specialist program, and currently 40% of our team members are composting. So those of you
Nice.
that live in an apartment, that's a great suggestion.
Excellent. Also consider, starting a backyard garden using the actual compost from your own kitchen. You can really amend those soils and build those soils up with vital nutrients. If you don't have a lot of space for above ground gardening or in ground gardening at your home, then try a vertical garden like you'll see here on the right. So another pro tip, if you are going to compost, this is what I do: collect your food scraps and store them in the freezer until you're ready for dumping them into your compost heap or your compost tumbler. That way they're not breaking down prematurely and you're not getting fruit flies and smells in your kitchen. Just keep them in. What I use is the 16-ounce salad mix that you get from your produce aisle in the grocery store. I'll just use an empty one of those and throw all my food scraps in there. No meat, bone, and dairy, of course. And then when I'm ready, about every 2 weeks, I'll go and dump those out from my freezer. So just some quick calls to action. If you want to contact your local officials, you can call them, write them by hand. You can email them, tag them on social media, inquire about what's happening in your area on sustainability programs. And you can even help initiate new diversion programs as a taxpayer in the area. So if you don't have curbside composting, talk to your lawmakers at the local level. Why not? And prompt them with these things that you've learned about food waste diversion and how people go hungry and the wasted food scale. Even if you don't have things like e-waste collection days, where the city is collecting e-waste like electronics, like TVs and computers for recycling. If you don't have bulk pickup, what do you do with mattresses and sofas and that kind of thing? So you can always contact your local elected officials and work with them to establish new programs. Also, if you're going to be venturing out with, on a solo day hike or your family camping trip, you want to follow the 7 steps of leave no trace. That's something you can Google really quick. It's just about making things cleaner than what you found them whenever you leave a local, a state, or a national park area. So, how do we be zero waste at work? This is for my managers, my executives, anyone on the call who manages a team. You want to establish 3 bin systems. If you've got, a 3 bin system where green is usually for composting, blue is usually for recycling, black or gray is usually for landfill trash or garbage. You'll want to color code them. You want to put signage up that reflects what exactly is and is not allowed in your bin systems. Now, if you don't have a local composter in your area who can come pick this up, there's no point in you putting a compost bin out for your employees to use. You want to go with what is actually locally available for programming in your community and what these businesses, these recycling and composting processors can actually handle, and if they even service your area. So make sure you check that out first. But, if you don't have composting in your area as a pickup service, then that's where you utilize the waste of food hierarchy, right? We go further upstream. Composting is at the bottom. It's a final, kind of one of those final, options. So work the hierarchy there, the wasted food scale to reduce your food waste. And then be aware of just personal habits of employees and what kind of materials they're bringing in from the outside of the workspace into the facility. Do you know that you've got two or three Starbucks fans that go to 7-Eleven every morning and grab their little Frappuccino? And they've got the little glass bottles, or maybe they're a fast food fan and they're ordering stuff from DoorDash, or they are going out to Chick-fil-A or wherever on their lunch break and they're bringing this stuff in. You can usually identify what waste belongs to what employee, because we're creatures of habit, right? And we like what we like. But it's important, if you implement these types of programs for waste diversion, that you are looking into the bins periodically to see if you can identify any cross contamination. Did Jimmy's Chick-fil-A, hit the recycling bin whenever it's all actually just trash and it should have been hitting the trash bin? So we can kind of just start looking at people's behaviors, and if they are grasping the waste diversion concepts that you're teaching them. And recycling education should actually happen once every 6 months minimum, and when employees are being newly onboarded. A lot of them have to sign maybe like a safety waiver. There should probably be a sustainability waiver in there as well in your onboarding documents that helps employees understand that the expectation for waste diversion is set from day one. These are some examples of recycling signage. So you can see that there is English and Spanish. Of course, you can, if you've got a different type of second language that's not English, if you've got, a stronger population within your workforce that is maybe speaks Vietnamese, then you'll want to cater to that. But again, you'll show what is and what is not allowed in these bins. So that, even in a different language, an apple core is an apple core in every language. So these images, it's not only just English and a second language that applies to your business, but the images as well are really critical. So let's talk about procurement. As you can see here on the left, about 84% of consumers that were polled globally stated that they prefer purchasing responsibly made products. So that's in your supply chain, and also kind of what they can do with those materials outside of their home once they bring them into their office and whatnot. So you want to look, as a procurement department, look at your vendor contracts. Do they have waste diversion and material restriction clauses? Are you taking advantage of bulk purchases that are allowed for cost efficiency? I worked with one company and they had a kind of a decentralized approach where every floor would order their own supplies within the same building. And they were spending massive amounts of money because they weren't collectively pooling their monies and their purchase needs and going to their vendor with a large order. They were doing a lot of small orders throughout the week, throughout the month, and it was really costing them quite a pretty penny. So take a look at your vendor contracts, and are you working collectively as a whole in your purchasing practices? Also, supply chain management. Look at your upstream vendors, downstream supply lines. Are these being responsibly sourced? We see, many businesses are just really suffering because they are being called out on the carpet. They're being exposed from bad practices, unethical practices. Oh, we didn't know our chocolate came from a company that uses child labor. We didn't know that these diamonds were sourced from slave labor camps, and so it's important that your supply chain management upstream and downstream are all responsibly sourced. That will come back to bite you if you're exposed. So you don't want to invest a lot of money into writing your reputation. So also, the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, has an environmentally preferable purchasing practices guideline. So if you just search EPPP, you can pull up their guidelines, and you can use that for your procurement department as well. And then look at your facilities. Or your hauler contracts right sized for your actual business needs? Or did the landfill hauler and recycler just come in and give you an arbitrary number about how many dumpsters you need and on your property, and how many pickups you need and what size of dumpsters? We were able to right size for a business client, and we got them down from 10 dumpsters that were each 8 cubic yards. We got them down to 8 dumpsters at six
Oh,
cubic yards. And instead of 5 pickups a week, they were down to 3. So that you can see right there where the cost savings is going to come in. So asking for negotiations around your actual hauler contracts and reducing your waste capacity to the size that you actually need. And then, of course, broken equipment. Are you tossing it, or are you actually sending it to be repaired? Are you sending it back to the manufacturer if they have return programs, and maybe getting a credit? So think about what repair looks like and what replacement looks like, and you know being able to weigh those costs of those two options. And you definitely want to encourage your employees to bring their own stuff. So if you have little kitchenettes, of course, you can stock your kitchenettes with reusable wares. So your thick plastic plates that go in a dishwasher or can be washed by hand, or even ceramics if you trust your employees enough with the breakable ceramics. And stocking them with reusable forks, knives, spoons, stainless steel, giving them coffee mugs, that kind of thing that can be washed out, and setting the expectation that cleanliness is key, and cleaning up after themselves. But this will help you reduce on your single use items like condiment packets, your plastic cutlery, straws, salt and pepper shakers, especially whenever you've got takeout deliveries that are being sent to your building. If you can work with the person who is ordering the food for your team, and making sure that they understand that we don't need the single use plastic cutlery. We don't need any straws. We don't need any salt and pepper packets, no condiment packets, because everything is already stocked in my kitchenette. We don't need any of that. So they don't have to put any of that in the order. That means it's not hitting your landfill dumpster. And then also, having them just BYOB, bring your own basics here for
well,
your
that's
regular lunch. So these are just a couple of resources that you can take a look at. Dema is going to take all of these links and drop them in the chat right now. This way you can copy and paste them over to maybe another document, or that way you can get the links, save them. And the Zero Waste International Alliance is the global zero waste one-stop shop. So they're the ones that created the 90% waste diversion goal metric. And they're the ones that created the definition. They're the ones that recruit the municipalities and businesses to get on board with commitments for zero waste. So they're the kind of the godfathers of this movement internationally. Then, of course, you have the U.S. Green Building Council that has things like the LEED certification program for energy, water, and green building. They also run WELL and SITES, and another one called TRUE, which I'm certified in. TRUE is specifically for waste reduction to get you to a zero waste facility. So if you are interested in zero waste facility certification, I'm your gal. Contact me. We can get you started on that. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation is really great for exploring circular economy concepts and key foundational knowledge. The Five Gyres Institute talks about all of the big plastic floating garbage patches that are in each of our oceans. They're each more than the size of Texas. They're just swirling out there. And the Story of Stuff project is really great for kids. These are like little 20, 30-minute cartoon vignettes so that you can take very large concepts like electronics recycling or cap and trade, and it comes down to very simple understanding. So these are really good for kids. And then we have what I'm offering today, which is the Zero Waste Business Academy. That's your opportunity to join our academy, which is an 8-week online program that guides you through proven workplace waste reduction tactics, helping you achieve your sustainability goals. So spaces are limited. Our first core cohort will start in mid-July. So this comes with self-paced learning. You get one-on-one consultation with yours truly. There's opportunity for group coaching so that you have peer-to-peer, brainstorming and networking sessions, group coaching that will really hammer out the headaches that you're experiencing on site. Employee training will go over your key tactics on how to to train your employees so that you're not getting those exasperated eye rolls whenever you mention sustainability. And then, of course, green marketing strategies of how to put your efforts out there. And then once you complete our program, then you get a green business certification as well. So we also have some exclusive bonuses that we're offering just from this webinar today. And that's access to our private LinkedIn community. You get an extra training module as well, printable checklists and templates to make sure that your business is on track in real time, a free ebook download to get your business started right away and start implementing these practices. Early access to any of our future courses. You get a discount on any of our future courses as well. And if you refer us to a friend and they sign up as well, you both get special bonus gifts. So normally our pricing is a full total price of $3,000 for all of these aspects of our program. But for today's webinar pricing, we're going to cut that down to $9.99, 66% off for you guys just through this program alone. And Dema is going to put in the chat the link to sign up for this. And it'll send you straight to a website where you can sign up for that $9.99 price special today. So my last question to everyone is, if we're not for zero waste, then how much waste are we for? So something to think about as you kind of go through your day, go through the rest of your week. And I just want to mention that our company partners with Climate First Bank for all its business transactions for the last 3 years. Dema and I have had a solid relationship. She's very responsive. The whole team has helped me in managing finances. And I just want to say that it feels really good to be able to put your money where your mouth is, and put your money into a bank that promotes, reusable energy projects, and you don't have to use your money to fund fossil fuel projects like oil and coal. Remember where I grew up, guys, Southeast Texas, the epicenter of the oil and gas industry. I want to support renewable energy projects, and that's what Climate First Bank does. And so it was just a really good fit for me in order to move all of my accounting and my business transactions from a very well-known, very large national bank over to Climate First Bank. Even whenever they were just a small, scrappy team just starting out 3 years ago, I knew, that this was the bank for me, and I have promoted it throughout the last 3 years as much as I can. And so I would encourage, if anybody's interested in starting up an account, either a business or a personal account, to make sure that you contact the Climate First Bank team.
Thank you, Stacy. I know when we started with my branch and my team was actually just me. Now we have a wonderful group of 8 individuals that's working on the digital side, and we have 3 branches, 4 to come soon. Not only do we want to purchase responsible products, we also should bank responsibly, right? So we encourage you to vote with your wallet. And like Stacy said, put your mouth where your money is, right? Or Put your
Put
money
it
where
where
your
your mouth
mouth
is.
is, right? So choose a bank that has its values aligned and it's acting responsibly. At Climate First Bank, we take pride in making environmental and social conscious decisions with everything that we do. So if you're interested in banking responsibly, you can visit us at www.climatefirstbank.com and definitely check out our impact banking products. You know, you want to vote and you want to have an impact. We have a special product specifically for impact banking. I'll actually drop the link to our impact checking, which is for personal use, in the chat. And I will also put in our normal link for just to visit us on the website. If you're not familiar with us, if this is the first time you heard, please check us out. We're actually one of the fastest growing banks since 2009. And we do have some questions in the chat. So first one I'm going to say there's a question on there are a few indoor compost units, Millie Renisol, I'm probably butchering that. Have you done any analysis and do you have a preference?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I didn't quite get that.
There are a few indoor compost units, Millie, and then REENCLE. Have you done an analysis and do you have a preference?
I No and no.
Possibly if we can get that question, that might be specifically for Florida or Orlando too. We can look into that and let you know, Chris, on that one. There's another question. If you could eliminate one product from the planet forever, what would it be and why?
Oh, plastics, because it is pervasive. We'll never recycle our way out of the plastics pollution crisis. It is in it's been found on the top of Mount Everest, microplastics. It's been found in placenta tissue. It's been found in our bloodstream in our brains. We eat about a credit card's worth of microplastics every year individually. So plastics are, really the bane of my existence, as you saw with the multiple choice questions and the plastic bag question came up. I was just like, "Arr." But it's so widely used, and only a little bit of it is being recycled. We have to, as companies and as business or as residents, as well as governments, small and large, need to really promote the plastics reduction and really promote and prioritize reusable materials over those single-use plastics as well. And again, that how do you make plastics? It's from the oil industry. It's from crude oil. It's from extraction. So that again hits home for me from my neck of the woods growing up and my family's involvement in the oil and gas industry.
I
So
agree. There's another question, same from Corey. For younger folks, any ideas, best practices, or resources to help with zero waste initiatives at schools or college campuses?
yeah, I would say that students can get a petition started that is worded in a way that will help students understand what they're signing. That is really plain, simple language. We want to start recycling, these materials: plastics, glass, cardboard, paper, metals, and then get as many signatures as possible from your classmates, and then bring it to the principal, bring it to the school board, and say, hey, we need these programs in place so that as a generation we're being more responsible for our materials. And once you've drummed up the kind of the grassroots pressure and support from your classmates and your teachers, then you put the ball in their court and you keep the pressure on them. You go to the school board meetings, and you continually ask about this. You open up a dialogue, maybe a monthly meeting with your principal, and get a green team together of students that want to push these types of programs, and maybe even bring in special speakers that have expertise in this area who can address the student body, once those programs are in place, to do a mass education and get their buy-in as well.
Great. There was a question in the chat that says, my local recycle center won't take pizza boxes. Can I break those down and add them to my compost? Chris Castro actually provided a great suggestion of tearing the boxes in half, and the top part that's not greasy or have the soil part to recycle that part, and then you can trash the other part of it. But love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so some companies, the technology has gotten so amazing that some recycling businesses are allowing even the greasy part of the they want the fiber, they want the cardboard. So they've got new technologies that are able to kind of wash that greasiness out. But you'll have to check first, of course, with either your local hauler or your municipality if they even take the greasy part of the pizza box. But yeah, Chris is right regarding the ripping it apart. You can usually recycle the top part that doesn't have any grease on it and then compost the bottom part. If you don't have composting, then that bottom part with all the grease needs to go to the trash bin, not the recycling bin.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stacy. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I know we went over on time. For those questions that then we didn't get to, we'll definitely respond back and share with you guys directly on those answers. Again, Stacy had her contact information on the screen before. Feel free to reach out to her on any of those channels. Reach out to us as well. We really appreciate you joining us for our second annual Let's Talk Trash, and happy World Environment Day.
Yes. Thank you, Dima. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.